If Deep Rock Galactic Survivors was just a bullet heaven with a Deep Rock skin, I'd have loved it anyway. I'm partial to these auto shooter things, I'm partial to Deep Rock, and this fusion of the two is a production that's higher quality and more content rich than its early access banner implies. But where the game really shines is in the ways that it's not just a rock and stony skin of the genre. DRG Survivors may have enemy swarms and experience gains, but its balance and mission structure result in a title that's more defensive than I've come to expect from bullet heavens. That does mean it doesn't always capture quite the same fantasy of escalating power, but in its place, DRG Survivors creates a difficult Survivors-like with Deep Rock appropriate themes, of futility in the face of endless hordes, and endless labor.
Big swarm detected. Lock up and get ready.
Any given delve of DRG Survivors involves picking one of the game's 4 classes, picking one of their specialties, then descending into one of 3 unique biomes. There's phases to each excursion, with the main objective being to kill an elite enemy after enough time has passed. The real money is in the rare materials you can find down there, and in the optional collection objectives that get assigned each round. If you want to progress your character, mid-run and post-run, you can't just walk around killing things. You'll need to path to key materials, kill the elite, then exfiltrate before you get left behind. It's a lesson you'll learn whether you want to or not, because a conventional boost my damage and kill everything strategy isn't as viable here as it usually is. Balance is skewed in such a way that you'll feel a little underpowered even before you start plopping on all those extra difficulty modifiers. Enemy density is high, you barely get any invulnerable frames when you walk into them, and area damage is at a premium for most classes. You're either relegated to high cooldown and inconsistent tools like grenades, or you're taking steep damage penalties to apply piercing bullets onto your guns. It ensures that the hordes are hordes, and aren't quick to become invalidated by a few talents. Upgrades like extra movement speed, digging speed, and expanded pickup radius are more enticing for those exact reasons. Straight elimination of your foes isn't always on the table. It's not just difficulty porn though. All that nerfing is to offset your ability to literally shape the world around you. Each miner comes standard with a pickaxe, or an equivalent, that can be used to collect minerals and also chisel away at regular bedrock. It opens up movement and pathing based strategies. There's an inherent risk reward in how you want to move because minerals take longer to break than rock. If you carve a path to maximize speed, you'll be sacrificing precious resources. Do the inverse and you'll no doubt have aliens at your back who kill you in no time. Finding the right balance between the two is DRG Survivor's evergreen joy, creating moments where your hubris will no doubt get the better of you if you play too greedy.
I'll be back.
The rock and stones are just as much an obstacle for your opponent as they are for you though. Choosing where you want to mine isn't just a question of where you want to go and how rich you want to get while going there, but also where you want the swarm to go. They obey physics enough to allow for the creation of rock funnels that squeeze the horde through narrow passages and into whatever meat grinder you've set up on the other side. It's an effective strategy for most builds that also comes with its own decision-making tension. Every second you spend abusing an existing funnel is time you aren't exploring to gather new minerals, which will hamstring the future of your run. It's tightly balanced and demands thoughtfulness on every delve. Its refusal to allow you to play single-mindedly keeps the game more active than its genre implies, creating an experience that isn't about overpowering the horde with build expression, but instead becoming strong enough to keep the horde at bay and scurry around them while you complete your tasks.
Out of time, miner. You have my condolences.
The build crafting itself most closely resembles fellow Bullet Heaven Soulstone Survivors. It uses a tag-like system to assign multiple attributes to each weapon, and favors builds that can overlap as many tags as possible, then passives that boost those tags. Collect a bunch of heavy weapons and you'll see multiplicative returns when you get passives that give damage to increase heavy weapons. The same is true if you align damage type and projectile type and so on. It allows for the simple creation of cool builds, with only 2 minor problems. The first is that the most interesting tools are backloaded behind the meta progression. It's not unusual for extra complexity to be added to the latter runs, but what is surprising is how long they take to get, and how samey your starting builds are forced to be because of that. Your first 3 hours with DRG Survivors will probably be your most boring, until you've gotten interesting weapons and upgrades that can meaningfully change how you drive a build. The second is that an entire damage type, kinetic, i.e. your regular shooty pistol and shotgun weapons, feel and sound floaty. They all use identical bullet animations with different special effects applied to it, and you don't get a visceral sensation from any of them. It's especially noteworthy because most of the miners start with a gun like this, so it's hard not to notice. Otherwise, there's a lot of satisfying design put into the builds. The UI is especially noteworthy because of how effectively it communicates this tag system. Anytime you pick up a new item, you'll get a visual indicator of how many attributes it shares with your existing weapons, and every new proposed passive upgrade will do the same. There's also a visual indicator on each weapon's upgrade path that shows how close it is to a new threshold that will spike its power. The game is filled with little touches like that, quality of life enhancements that are surprising for a game just launching into early access. Deep Rock Galactic Survivors is a superb entry to the bullet heaven genre. Though its actual feature set may not be revolutionary, their balance is, creating an experience that leans into a survival fantasy rather than a power fantasy, where your best runs are usually decided by how well you circumnavigated an enemy horde, rather than how well you blasted through them. This is a Survivors game that's been built from the ground up in Deep Rock's image, rather than one that's had a rock and stone facade lazily applied on top. The influences of its themes are not skin deep, but go far, far beneath the surface.